about the global stories that we are keeping eye out on, given the fact that it may have an impact elsewhere as well. Firstly, let's talk about the US inflation. That dropped by about 0.1% in the month of June, marking the first decline in over 4 years, with an annual rate now at 3%. The lower gasoline prices actually played a critical role, offsetting small rises in the food and the shelter costs as well. You talk about the core CPI, excluding food and energy, also saw its smallest annual increase since April 2001. Also 2021, I beg your pardon. And this cooling inflation boosts the case for Federal Reserve to go ahead and consider lowering the interest rates later this year. But we also spoke to Ajay Baga, who is a market expert back home, to understand what would this US CPI data actually mean for the globe and particularly for India. Listen in.
I think on the monetary side, it will open some space for RBI to cut. Once the Fed starts cutting, they will follow because you will not risk the rupee. The good news is with the JPM bond index inclusion, we have got about 85,000 crores, expecting about 2 lakh crores over the next few months. So the RBI has a good cushion to protect the rupee. Based on the bond inclusion. But you can expect a rate cut by December by the RBI, provided the Fed cuts in September, or we go to February. Second is with the budget out of the way by end of this month, you will know the fiscal policy and the fiscal space. So RBI's hands will be strong.
Let's talk about the jobless claims in the United States, which rose by about 2.22 lakh last week. This was below expectations and much lower than what the claims had added in the previous weeks. If you look at it, the insured unemployment rate held steady at 1.2%, with the 4-week moving average dropping. This news actually sent the dollar index falling below the 105 level as well. But let's talk about the US budget deficit that shrank slightly from a year ago in the first 9 months of the fiscal year on higher tax revenues from individuals as well as corporations. It fell about 71% from last year. However, if you adjusted for calendar shifts, the June deficit would have been about 3% higher than last year. Also, receipts have seen a rise by about 11%, while outlays fell 18%, and this was partly due to the changes in the student loan subsidies. And in NATO summit Gaffes, you had the US President Joe Biden mistakenly introduce the Ukrainian President Zelensky as President Putin. Later correcting himself amid laughter, the slips comes as Biden faces growing pressure from his party to withdraw from the presidential race. And in another blunder during a solo press conference, Biden referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump, raising more questions about his competency. However, he added that nothing would make him reconsider his decision to remain in the contest unless polling data showed, and I quote, "There's no way you can win."
Did you see any damage to our standing by leading this conference? Have you seen a more successful conference? What do you think? And the Putin piece, I was talking about Putin, and I said, and now, at the very end, I said, here, I mean, Putin. I said, no, I'm sorry, Zelensky. And then I added 5 other names. Look, guys, the idea anybody suggests that we haven't had an incredibly successful conference. How many times did you hear in that conference, I know it sounds too self-serving, but other leaders, heads of state, in thanking me, saying the reason we're together is because of Biden, because Biden did the following. Look, folks, this is well, anyway, I thought it was the most successful conference I've attended in a long time, and find me a world leader who didn't think it was.
All right, and another news or a warning coming in from Boeing. They've informed of further delays for 737 MAX deliveries, with some push to 2026. The plane maker has cautioned that delivery timelines continue to slip by 3 to 6 months on top of already late handovers. This would be actually positive back home for India's largest airline, Indigo, which contracts only Airbus aircraft, but could prove to be negative for SpiceJet as well as unlisted entity Air India, which fly Boeing planes. And Tesla's shares actually slammed after a report of a 2-month delay in the unveiling of its Robotaxi, now set for October. Originally planned for August, the delay allows more time to build prototypes. That's what the company said in its release. This dip comes after an 11-day rally in Tesla shares. That was driven by strong Q2 deliveries, pushing Tesla stock back into the negative territory for 2024. Remember, Musk has promised shareholders a Robotaxi for years, and in 2015 he said that Tesla's car would achieve full autonomy within 3 years. And Apple has reached a deal with the EU regulators to open its tap-and-go payments technology to rivals, ending a 4-year antitrust investigation. This move addresses concerns that Apple restricted competition in mobile payments. The EU antitrust chief highlighted that the changes will benefit competitors and customers as well. Apple will allow third-party developers access to NFC technology and let users set any wallet as the default option.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.